आइए इसके बाद देखते हैं हम कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस एंड आईटी गवर्नेंस. There is no doubt to say that IT is a key enabler of corporate business strategy. Chief Executive Officers, Chief Financial Officers, Chief Information Officers, Chief Information Officers agree that strategic alignment between IT and business objective are a critical success factor for the achievement of business objective. IT has to provide critical input to meet the information needs of all the required stakeholders, or it can be said that enterprise activity required information from IT activity in order to meet enterprise objectives. Hence, corporate governance sorry. Hence, corporate governance drives and sets the IT governance. There are multiple definitions of IT governance. However, one of the well-known definitions is IT governance is the system by which IT activities in a company or enterprise are directed and controlled to achieve business objective with the ultimate objective of meeting stakeholder needs. Hence, the overall objective of IT governance is very much similar to corporate governance, but with the focus on IT. Hence, it can be said that there is an inseparable relationship between hence it can be said that there is an inseparable relationship between corporate governance and IT governance, or IT governance is a subset of corporate और enterprise governance. ठीक है, आईटी गवर्नेंस एक सबसेट है कॉर्पोरेट और एंटरप्राइज गवर्नेंस का. उसके बाद आते हैं हम आईटी गवर्नेंस एंड गवर्नेंस ऑफ एंटरप्राइज आईटी, यानी कि GEIT. Sorry, IT governance and governance of enterprise IT. Let us now specifically understand the key concept of IT governance and the distinction between IT governance and GEIT. Although the terms IT governance and governance of enterprise IT are used interchangeably, the term GEIT is more macro. GEIT is more macro and broader in its scope of coverage. In this chapter, we shall be using both the terms as relevant, as specifically required as some of the regulatory requirements still refer to the term IT governance. पहले पढ़ते हैं हम IT governance क्या होता है. IT governance. The objective of IT governance is to determine and cause the desired behavior and results to achieve the strategic impact of IT. IT governance refers to the system in which directors of the enterprise evaluate, direct, monitor IT management to ensure effectiveness, accountability, and compliance of IT. The active distribution of decision-making rights and accountability among different stakeholders in an organization, and the rules and procedure for making and monitoring those decisions to determine and achieve desired behaviors and results. It may be noticed that governance and IT governance are similar in their definition and approach, except that in case of IT governance, the focus is on IT related areas. एक बार इसको रिपीट कर लो. चलिए, उसके बाद आते हैं की प्रैक्टिसेस की. ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट कुछ टर्म्स होते हैं की प्रैक्टिसेस, जो इस टाइप के बहुत सिमिलर क्वेश्चंस है, तो हमें बहुत ध्यान देना पड़ेगा, बहुत कंसंट्रेशन से हमें इसको पढ़ना है, क्योंकि एग्जामिनर बहुत कंफ्यूज करता है इन चीज को लेकर के. की प्रैक्टिसेस टू डिटरमाइन द स्टेटस ऑफ आईटी गवर्नेंस. क्या बोल रहे हैं? की प्रैक्टिसेस टू डिटरमाइन द स्टेटस ऑफ आईटी गवर्नेंस. आईटी गवर्नेंस के स्टेटस को डिटरमाइन करने की प्रैक्टिसेस कौन कौन सी हैं, तो पढ़ते हैं. Some of the key practices which determine the status of IT governance in the enterprise are: number one, who makes directing, controlling and executing decision. How the decisions are made, what information is required to make the decision, what decision making mechanism are required, how exceptions are handled, how the governance results are monitored and improved. As per regulatory requirements and best practices framework of governance of enterprise IT, it is important for the board of directors and senior management to play critical roles in evaluating, directing, and monitoring IT effectiveness of the IT governance structure and process are directly depend upon the level of involvement of the board and senior management. Different level of the framework require different tools, technique, and standard addressing specific needs of an effective IT governance structure, which consists of the organizational structure, leadership, and process that ensure IT support of the organization strategies and objective. उसके बाद आते हैं बेनिफिट ऑफ आईटी गवर्नेंस वहां हमने क्या पढ़ा था बेनिफिट ऑफ गवर्नेंस यहाँ हम पढ़ेंगे बेनिफिट ऑफ आईटी गवर्नेंस ठीक है ये भी एक इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है द बेनिफिट विच आर अचीव्ड बाय इंप्लीमेंटिंग इम्प्रूविंग गवर्नेंस और मैनेजमेंट ऑफ एंटरप्राइज IT would depend on the specific and unique environment of every enterprise. At the highest level, these could include क्या increased value delivered through enterprise IT, increased user satisfaction with IT services, improve agility in supporting business needs, better cost performance of IT, improve management and mitigation of IT related business risk, IT become an enabler for change rather than inhibitors, improve transparency and understand of IT's contribution to business, improved compliance with relevant laws, regulation policies, more optimal utilization of resources. Every defined benefit, for every defined benefit, it is critical to ensure that ownership is defined and agreed. It is relevant and links to the business strategy. The timing of its realization of benefit is realistic and documented. The risk, assumption, and dependency associated with the realization of the benefit are understood, correct, current, and unambiguous measures have been identified. Timely and accurate data for the measure is available or easy to obtain. ठीक है ये हमने पढ़े बेनिफिट ऑफ आईटी गवर्नेंस पहला क्या है इंक्रीज वैल्यू डिलीवर्ड थ्रू एंटरप्राइज आईटी इंक्रीज यूजर सेटिस्फेक्शन विद आईटी सर्विसेज इंप्रूव एजिलिटी इन सपोर्टिंग बिजनेसेस बेटर कॉस्ट परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ आईटी इंप्रूव मैनेजमेंट एंड मिटिगेशन ऑफ आईटी रिलेटेड बिजनेसेस आईटी बिकम एन एनेबलर फॉर चेंज रादर देन इनहिबिटर्स इंप्रूव ट्रांसपेरेंसी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ आईटी कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द बिजनेस इंप्रूव कंप्लायंस विद रेलेवेंट लॉज रेगुलेशन पॉलिसीज मोर ऑप्टिमल यूटिलाइजिंग आईटी रिसोर्सेज उसके बाद है गवर्नेंस ऑफ एंटरप्राइज आईटी यानी कि जीईआईटी गवर्नेंस ऑफ एंटरप्राइज आईटी इज ए सबसेट ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस ये क्या है एक सबसेट है कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस का एंड फैसिलिटेट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम कंट्रोल विद इन एन एंटरप्राइजेस as relevant and encompassing all key areas. The primary objective of GEIT are to analyze and articulate the requirement for the governance of enterprise IT and to put in place and maintain enabling structure, principles, process, practices with clarity of responsibility and authority to achieve the enterprise missions, goals and objective. अब पढ़ते हैं बेनिफिट ऑफ जीआईटी वहां हमने क्या पढ़ा पहले पढ़ा बेनिफिट ऑफ गवर्नेंस फिर पढ़ा हमने बेनिफिट ऑफ आईटी गवर्नेंस अब हम पढ़ रहे हैं बेनिफिट ऑफ जीआईटी दीज आर गिवन एज फॉलो नंबर 1 it provides a consistent approach integrated and aligned with enterprise governance approach. It provides consistent approach integrated and aligned with the enterprise governance approach. Number 2 is it ensures that IT related decisions are made in line with the enterprise strategies and objectives. It ensures that IT related decisions are made in line with the enterprise strategies and objectives. It ensures that IT related processes are overseen effectively and transparently. It ensures that IT related processes are overseen effectively and transparently. It confirms compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. It confirms compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. It ensures that governance requirements for board members are met. ठीक है अब हम पढ़ते हैं नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट है हमारा की गवर्नेंस प्रैक्टिसेस ऑफ जीईआईटी तो जीईआईटी की गवर्नेंस प्रैक्टिसेस कौन कौन सी है इवेल्युएट करेंगे डायरेक्ट करेंगे मॉनिटर करेंगे यानी कि इवेल्युएट द गवर्नेंस सिस्टम डायरेक्ट द गवर्नेंस सिस्टम एंड मॉनिटर द गवर्नेंस सिस्टम। तो आइए इसके अंदर का पढ़ते हैं। की गवर्नेंस प्रैक्टिसेस required to implement GEIT in the enterprise are highlighted here. Evaluate the governance system. Continually identify and engage with the enterprise stakeholder, document an understanding of the requirement, and making judgment on the current and future design of the governance of enterprise IT. Direct the governance system, inform leadership and obtain their support, buy-in and commitment, guide the structure, process and practices for the governance of IT in line with the agreed governance design principles, decision making models, authority levels, define the information required for informed decision making. Monitor the governance system. Monitor the effectiveness and performance of the enterprise governance of IT. Assess whether the governance system and implemented mechanism, including structure, principle, and process, are operating effectively and provide appropriate oversight of IT. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट है कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, एंटरप्राइज रिस्क मैनेजमेंट एंड इंटरनल कंट्रोल। कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, एंटरप्राइज risk management and internal control. Various prominent fraud committed by some large enterprises across the world, including India, in the last 2 decades have awakened regulators to the need of mandating the implementation of corporate governance integrated with enterprise risk management and internal control. The concept of corporate governance has succeeded in attracting a good deal of public interest because of its importance for the economic health of the corporations. Protect the interest of stakeholders, including investors, and the welfare of society in general. As discussed earlier, corporate governance has been defined as a system by which the business corporation are directed and controlled. The corporate governance structure specifies the distribution of rights and responsibilities among different participants in the corporation, such as the board, managers, shareholders, and other stakeholders. And spell out the rules and procedure for making decisions on corporate affairs. Some of the best practices of corporate governance, which include the following. Some of the best practices. ये प्रैक्टिस वाले क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, इनको हमेशा मतलब तरीके से याद करना इनको. Some of the best practices of the corporate governance include the following. Clear assignment of responsibility and decision-making authority, incorporating an hierarchy of required approval from individual to the board of director. क्या बोल रहा है कि responsibility clearly assign होनी चाहिए and decision-making authority भी clearly assign होनी चाहिए. एक hierarchy incorporate करो from the individual to the board of directors. Second है establishment of a mechanism for the interaction and cooperation among the board of directors, senior management and auditors. एक मैकेनिज्म स्टैब्लिश करो ताकि बोर्ड ऑफ मेंबर्स, सीनियर मैनेजमेंट और ऑडिटर्स आपस में प्रॉपर्ली इंटरेक्ट कर पाए. इंप्लीमेंटिंग स्ट्रॉन्ग इंटरनल कंट्रोल सिस्टम इंक्लूडिंग इंटरनल एक्सटर्नल ऑडिट फंक्शन, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट फंक्शन, इंडिपेंडेंट बिजनेस एंड अदर चेक्स. इंटरनल कंट्रोल सिस्टम इंप्लीमेंट करो जिसमें भी इंटरनल ऑडिट, एक इंटरनल फंक्शन, एक्सटर्नल फंक्शन, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट फंक्शन जो कि इंडिपेंडेंट हो बिजनेस के लिए. Special monitoring of risk exposure where conflict of interest are likely to be high. मतलब जहां पर रिस्क ज्यादा है वहां पर स्पेशल मॉनिटरिंग होनी चाहिए. ठीक है. इंक्लूडिंग बिजनेस रिलेशनशिप विद बोरोवर्स एफिलिएटेड विद द बैंक, लार्ज शेयरहोल्डर्स, सीनियर मैनेजमेंट और की डिसीजन मेकर विद द फर्म. Financial and managerial incentive to act in an appropriate manner offered to senior management, business line management, employees in the form of compensation, promotion and other recognition. Appropriate information flow internally and to the public for ensuring good corporate governance. The importance of overseeing the various aspects of the corporate function need to be properly understood, appreciated and implemented. उसके बाद आते हैं एंटरप्राइज रिस्क मैनेजमेंट ERM. In implementing control, It is important to adopt a holistic and comprehensive approach. Hence, ideally, it should consider the overall business objective, process, organization, structure, technology deployed, and the risk appetite. Based on this, overall risk management strategy has to be adopted, which should be designed and promoted by top management and implemented at all levels of enterprise operation as required in an integrated manner. Regulation requires enterprise to adopt risk management strategy which is appropriate for the enterprise. Hence, the type of control implemented in information system in an enterprise would depend on the risk management strategy. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act in the US, which focus on the implementation and review of internal control as relating to financial audit, highlights the importance of evaluating the risk, security and control as related to financial statement. In an IT environment, it is important to understand whether the relevant IT controls are implemented. How controls are implemented would be depend on the overall risk management strategy and risk appetite of the management. SOX have used Committee of Responsing COSO as one of the important guidelines for implementing risk management internal control. The Executive Summary of Enterprise Risk Management Integrated Framework published by COSO of the Tradeway Commission highlights the need for the management to implement a system of risk management at the enterprise level. Enterprise risk management deals with the risk and opportunities affecting value creations or preservations defined as follow. Enterprise risk management is a process effected by an entity's board of directors, management, and other personas applied in the strategy setting across the enterprise, designed to identify potential event that may affect the entity and manage risk to be within risk appetite to provide reasonable assurance regarding the achievement of entity objective. It is important for management to ensure that enterprise risk management strategy considers implementation of information and associated risk while formulating IT security and control as relevant. IT security and controls are a subset of the overall enterprise risk management strategy and encompass all aspects of activity and operation of the enterprise. उसके बाद आते हैं इंटरनल कंट्रोल. The US Security and Exchange Commission (SEC's) final rules define internal control over financial reporting as a process designed by or under the supervision of the company's principal executive and principal financial officers or persons performing similar function and affected by the company's board of directors, management and other personnel to provide reasonable assurance regarding the reliability of financial reporting and the preparation of the financial statement for external purpose in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles and includes those policies and procedures that pertain to the maintenance of records that in reasonable detail accurately and fairly reflect the transaction and disposition of the assets of the company. Provide reasonable assurance that transactions are recorded and provide reasonable assurance that transactions are recorded as necessary to permit preparation of financial statement in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles and that receipts and expenditure of the company are being made only in accordance with the authorization of management and director of the company. Provide reasonable assurance regarding prevention of timely detection of unauthorized acquisition, use or disposal of company assets that could have a material effect on the financial statement. Under the final rules, a company's annual report must include an internal control report of management that contains a statement of management responsibility for establishing and maintaining adequate internal control over financial reporting of the company, a statement identifying the framework used by the management to conduct the required evaluation of effectiveness of the company's internal control over financial reporting, management assessment of the effectiveness of the company's internal control over financial reporting as of the end of the company's most recent fiscal year, including a statement as to whether or not the company's internal control over financial reporting is effective. The assessment must include disclosure of any material weakness in the company's internal control over financial reporting identified by the management. It is not permitted to conclude that Company's internal control over financial reporting is effective if there are one or more metal weakness in the company's internal control over financial reporting. A statement debt, registered public accounting firm that audited the financial statement included in the annual report has issued an attestation report on management assessment of the company's internal control over financial reporting. उसके बाद आते हैं रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर इम्प्लीमेंटिंग इंटरनल कंट्रोल. इंटरनल कंट्रोल इंप्लीमेंट करने की रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी किसकी है? सॉक्स, सर्बेन्स-ओक्सली एक्ट को बोलते हैं. सॉक्स मेड ए मेजर चेंज इन इंटरनल कंट्रोल by holding chief executive officers and chief financial officers personally and criminally liable. क्या बोला? Personally and criminally liable for the quality and effectiveness of their organization's internal control. Part of the sorry for interruption. Responsibility for implementing internal control. Stocks made a major change in internal control by holding chief executive officers and chief financial officers personally and criminally liable for the quality and effectiveness of their organization. Part of the process is to attest to public that organization internal control is effective. Internal control can be expected to provide only a reasonable assurance, not an absolute assurance. हमने जैसे पढ़ा है ऑडिट में, हम पढ़ते हैं कि reasonable assurance देते हैं, absolute assurance कोई नहीं देता. To an entity's management and a board, an organization must ensure that its financial statement complies with financial accounting standard and internal accounting standard or local rules via policy enforcement. क्या हो रहा है? कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, एक मिनट. An organization must ensure that its financial statement comply with the financial accounting standards and international accounting standard or local rules via policy enforcement and risk avoidance methodology called internal control. There must be system of checks and balance of defined process that leads directly from actions and transaction reporting to organization owners investing public cost. ठीक है. कोसो के हिसाब से इंटरनल कंट्रोल कैसा होना चाहिए? Internal control as per COSO. In a computerized environment, the goals of the asset safeguarding, data integrity, system efficiency and system effectiveness can be achieved only if an organization management sets up a system of internal control. According to COSO, internal control is comprised of 5 interrelated components. COSO के हिसाब से इंटरनल कंट्रोल के 5 इंटररिलेटेड कंपोनेंट. सबसे पहला क्या है? कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट. क्या आता है? कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट. उसके बाद आता है रिस्क असेसमेंट. उसके बाद आता है कंट्रोल एक्टिविटीज. उसके बाद आता है इंफॉर्मेशन एंड कम्युनिकेशन. और उसके बाद आता है मॉनिटरिंग. तो एक एक करके पढ़ते हैं हम. सबसे पहले पढ़ते हैं कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट. कंट्रोल एनवायरनमेंट. This includes the element that establishes the control context in which a specific accounting system and control procedure must operate. The control environment is manifested in management operating cycle. The ways authority and responsibility are assigned, the functional method of audit committee, the methods used to plan and monitor performance, and so on. For each business process, an organization needs to develop and maintain a control environment, including categorizing the criticality and materiality of each business process, plus the owners of business process. Control environment पर अब पढ़ेंगे हम risk assessment. This includes the element that identify and analyze the risk faced by the organization and the way the risk can be managed. Both external and internal auditors are concerned with errors or irregularities that cause material losses to an organization. Each business process comes with various risks. A control environment must include an assessment of the risk associated with each business process. Number 3, control activities. These include the elements that operate to ensure transactions are authorized, duties are segregated, adequate documents and records are maintained, assets and records are safeguarded, independent checks on performance, and valuation of records. These are called accounting control. Internal auditor are also concerned with the administrative control to achieve effectiveness and efficiency objective. Control activities must be developed to manage, mitigate, and reduce the risk associated with each business process. It is unrealistic to expect to eliminate risk completely. Information and communication. These are the elements in which information is identified, captured, exchanged in a timely and appropriate form to allow personnel to discharge their responsibility. These are associated with internal control. These are associated with control activities regarding information communication system of the entity that act as one of the component of internal accounting system. These enables an organization to capture and exchange the information needed to conduct, manage and control its business process. Last आता है monitoring. The internal control process must be continuously monitored with modifications made as warranted by changing conditions. This includes the elements that ensure internal control operates reliably over time. The best internal control are worthless if the company does not monitor them and make changes when they are not working. Next concept है हमारा Clause 49 of the listing agreement issued by SEBI in India is on similar lines of SOX regulation and mandate inter alia the implementation of enterprise risk management and internal control and hold the senior management legally responsible for such implementation. Further, it also provides for certification of these aspects by external auditor. It may be noted that COSO and COBIT together have been internationally used as best practices framework for compliance SOX. The detail of how IT compliance can be best implemented or reviewed by using framework such as COBIT 5 is covered in the further section. Role of IT in enterprises. Role of IT in enterprises. In an increasingly digitized world, enterprises are using IT not merely for data processing but more for strategic and competitive advantage too. IT deployment has progressed from data processing to MIS to decision support system to online transaction services. IT has not only automated the business process but also transformed the way business processes are performed. The way in which business processes are performed, services rendered, and how an organization is structured could be transformed through right deployment of IT. It is needless to emphasize that IT is used to perform business process, activities and tasks, and it is important to ensure that IT deployment is oriented toward achievement of business objective. The extent of deployment also impact the way the extent of technology deployment also impact the way internal control are implemented in an enterprise. Further, extensive organization restructuring or business process reengineering may be facilitated through IT deployment. Implementing IT has to consider not only implementation of IT control from conformance perspective, but also IT could be key Implementing IT has to consider not only implementation of IT control from conformance perspective, but also IT could be key enabler for providing strategic and competitive advantage. This requires that senior management consider IT not only as information processing tool, but more for strategic perspective to provide better and innovative services. This makes it imperative to develop an IT strategy which is aligned with business strategy and ensures value creation and facilities benefit realization from the investment. बिजनेस एंड आईटी स्ट्रेटजी. अगला कॉन्सेप्ट हमारा क्या है? बिजनेस एंड आईटी स्ट्रेटजी. मैनेजमेंट स्ट्रेटजी determines at the macro level the path methodology of rendering service by the enterprise. Strategy outlines the approach of the enterprise and is formulated by the senior management. Based on the strategy adopted, relevant policy and procedures are formulated. From business strategy perspective, IT is affecting the way in which enterprises are structured, managed and operated. One of the most dramatic developments affecting enterprise is the fusion of the IT with business strategy. Enterprise can no longer develop business strategy separate from IT strategy and vice versa. Accordingly, there is a need for the integration of sound IT planning with business planning and the incorporation of effective financial and management control within new system. Management primarily is focused on harnessing the enterprise resource towards achievement of business objective. This would involve the management process of planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. Every enterprise, regardless of its size, need to have internal control system built into its enterprise structure. Control is defined as policies, procedures, practices, and enterprise structure that are designed to provide reasonable assurance that business objective will be achieved and undesired events are prevented or detected and corrected. We are aware that auditors could be involved in providing assurance requiring review of information system as implemented from control perspective. However, auditors may also be required to provide consulting before or after implementation of information system strategy. It becomes imperative for the auditors to understand the concept of enterprise strategy as relevant. Hence, auditor must have good understanding of management aspect as relevant to the deployment of IT and IT strategy. This would include understanding of IT, information strategy, policies, procedures, practices, and enterprise structure, segregation duties, etc. IT organization should define their strategies IT organizations should define their strategies and tactics to support the organization by ensuring that day-to-day IT operations are delivered efficiently and without compromise. Metrics and goals are established to help the IT perform on a tactical basis and also to guide the efforts of a personnel to improve maturity of practice. The results will enable the IT functions to execute the strategy and achieve its objective established with the approval of enterprise leaders. Internal audit can determine whether the linkage of IT metrics and objective align with the organization's goals, adequately measures progress being made on the approved initiative, and express an opinion on whether the metrics are relevant and useful. Additionally, auditors can validate that metrics are being measured correctly and represent realistic reviews of the IT operation governance on tactical and strategic basis. नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट आता है हमारा आईटी स्टीयरिंग कमेटी. Planning is essential for determining and monitoring the direction and achievement of the enterprise goals and objectives. As enterprises are dependent on the information generated by information system, it is important that planning relating to information system is undertaken by senior management or by the steering committee. Depending on the size and needs of the enterprise, the senior management may appoint a high-level committee to provide appropriate direction to IT deployment and information system, and to ensure that information technology deployment is in tune with the enterprise business goals and objective. This committee, called as the IT steering committee, is ideally led by the member of the board of directors comprised of functional head from all key departments of the enterprise, including the audit and IT department. The role and responsibility of IT steering committee and its members must be documented and approved by the senior management. As the member comprised of function head of department, they would be responsible for taking decisions relating to their departments as required. The IT steering committee provides overall direction to deployment of IT and information system in the enterprise. The key function of the committee would include the following. Key function. IT steering committee key function कौन-कौन से important question है ये? To ensure that long and short range plan of IT department are in tune with the enterprise goals and objectives, to establish size and scope of IT function and set priority within the scope, to review and approve major IT deployment projects in all their stages, to approve and monitor key projects by measuring result of the IT project in terms of the return on investment, to review the status of information system plan and budget and overall IT performance, to review and approve standards, policy and procedure, to make decision on all key aspects of IT deployment implementation, to facilitate implementation of IT security within enterprise, to facilitate and resolve conflict in deployment of IT and ensure availability of viable communication system exists between IT and its users, to report to the board of directors on IT activity on a regular basis. IT strategy planning. IT strategy planning. Planning is basically deciding in advance what is to be done, who is going to do, and when it is going to be done. There are three levels of managerial activity in an enterprise. सबसे पहला आता है strategic planning. Strategic plan is defined as a process of deciding on objective of enterprise, on changes in this objective, on the resources used to attain this objective, and on the policies that are to be govern the acquisition, use, and disposition of these resources. The strategic plan is the process by which top management, top management, strategic planning कौन करता है? Top management. Strategic planning is the process by which top management determine overall organization purpose and objective and how they are to be achieved. Corporate level strategic plan is the process of determining the overall character and purpose of the organization. The business, it will enter and leave, and how resources will be distributed among this business. Management control. Management control is defined as the process by which manager assures that resources are obtained and used effectively and efficiently in the accomplishment of the enterprise objective. Operational control. Operational control is defined as the process of assuring that specific tasks are carried out effectively and efficiently. IT strategic plan provides direction to the deployment of information system, and it is important that key functions in the enterprise are aware and are involved in its development and implementation. Management should ensure that IT long-range and short-range plan are communicated to the business process owners and other relevant parties across the enterprise. Management should enterprise process to capture and report feedback from business process owners and users regarding the quality and usefulness of the long and short-range plan. The feedback obtained should be evaluated and considered in future IT planning.